Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Desawe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Date.
And I am Grace Hamwajiman. Coming up tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Coming up tonight, visual artist and CEO of Red Clay, Ibrahim Mahama, hospitalized after allegedly assaulted by Team Black Maria in Tamale.
Tonight, we tell you the story of veteran farmer Nana Abbas, who has lost half his workforce to illegal mining.
And as the rains approach, residents of Odona are taking precautionary measures to avoid losses from recurring flooding in the area.
On the international front, U.S. Central Command says Iran's ability to threaten ships in the Strait of Hormuz degraded after U.S. bombing of an underground military facility this week.
We are live around the world on 3news.com. We always love to hear from you, so do send us your messages.
Let's begin the bulletin from here and from the northern region, where founder of the Savannah Center for Contemporary Art, Red Clay Studio and Nkrumah Volini in Tamale, Ibrahim Mahama, together with other Muslims in Tamale, have been allegedly assaulted by the IGP's Special Operations Team, also known as Black Maria in Tamale. The incident occurred after Ibrahim Mahama and several others observed the Eid al-Fitr prayers in Tamale earlier today. Correspondent Christopher Makung has more of the story.
They forced me to open the phone with a password and they deleted the pictures from it. Yeah, because even if it's my phone, it's my personal phone. Already they violated our rights by breaking into the bus. And then on top of it, when they got to the station, they were slapping me to open up the phone so they could delete the pictures that were on it. Yes. So from the beginning to the end, everything was just an assault.
According to one of the victims who was driving the bus carrying Ibrahim Mahama and several other victims of the assault, the incident happened around the Mariam Hotel Junction in Tamale. He narrates the Black Maria team were forcing their way through a heavy traffic, resulting in a misunderstanding between the Black Maria team and some motorists.
And then all of a sudden, the place was choked, but I realized that a police vehicle came to, actually found his way through. And I didn't know they were moving in groups, so I was also trying to get my way out of the mess. And then there was this car, I didn't see anything, it was a white car. And then they asked me to stop, and then I stopped. And why am I moving forward? And I said, oh, but the place is cleared for all of us to actually go. This just forced themselves into the bus, and then my boss, they beat him up mercilessly, beat me up mercilessly. Just look at me. Just look at my dress, blood all over. They beat us up, and then my boss had to lose 2 teeth.
Ibrahim Mahama, who received the most beatings, suffered injuries on his face with 2 broken teeth.
Actually, it's Ibrahim Mahama. He's the owner of Red Clay. And he said, and so what? And then we got to the police station. They continued with the beating again. One person who was in white identified himself as Mr. Jalil. And he said he is the Black Marine boss. And I said, I don't know you. And he said, yeah, he is their boss. I said, I don't know you. And he said, yeah, they are in charge of security. I said, okay, that's fine.
Commenting on the development, Northern Regional Minister Ali Adolf Mbordiba said the Regional Security Council, RECSEC, will not tolerate any acts of lawlessness.
We will not tolerate it. So, anybody who is found properly will be dealt with by the law. We're not going to allow this matter to go like that. In any case, our police commander has stated that he's not aware of any Black Maria in town. Like that. So if they are found doing anything in town, then it is illegal. It is illegal. If they are identified as those who are doing it, then it's illegal. Because no, as a policeman, when you arrive take extraction from outside your jurisdiction, you report before you can do anything. And so you can't just come and then start operating without the knowledge of the regional police commander. No, we will not allow this. We will not allow this. This extent of lawlessness will not be tolerated in our region.
Right, so clearly very unfortunate development there. We'll see what the responses will be from not just the IGP security team, but then those on the ground as well and the witnesses who have been sharing testimonies regarding this unfortunate development. We'll update you when we get further information regarding that. From the northern region, let's come to the Ashanti region where, well, there are people who have lost half of their farm workers. In this particular case, the individual we are talking about has lost half of his workers to illegal mining, also known as galamsey. In the following report, William Evans Inkum spent a day with Nana Abbas, a popular fetish priest who has also been farming for over 50 years.
Outside this plantation, he solves mysteries. Here, a mechanized farmer. This is Nana Abbas, the chief fetish priest in the Ashanti region, also a farmer. His over 20 hectares maize plantation is thriving.
Over here is 20 hectares, approximately 50 acres of thriving plantation, maize plantation to be precise. And this is a key source of livelihood for many farmers here in the Kwabri East district. With the right balance of good soil and a proper method of irrigation, one is assured of an abundant harvest.
Armyworm, the maize farmer's nemesis, hiding in the stem and hatching her eggs. It eventually settles in a maize kernel, and that's where the havoc begins. Nana Abbas is not oblivious of the enemy. It is the minor season. Buyers buy in small sacks. He has introduced his daughter to farming. Joyce began plantation at age 19. She's been doing this for 16 years. She even won the Best District Female Farmer Award last year.
My classmate from me school. I do my bimuye, a bit chradie, a be a nurse. Nipa or general sumeno. May bosume me and Sansa because me tracks are a brona. Ube try and Sika me menyan within 3 months. Baby.
Everything he has in the farm was built by him.
My cry do we no 40 and the man's you 20. I can never 120. Anybody in a jack or galamsey. They are there high crack. Can of when you are going to freeze, Nagaramsey now. If we do baby near home because Ubenyas Cano, but the very Ubenyas Cano, a beshi, a common baba.
Farming is expensive, he tells me, but lucrative with the right method. To him, government, including past administrations, have not done enough to promote the sector. William Evans Inkum, TV3 News, Jamasi.
And in Amankrado and nearby communities in Gomwa, Obuasi in the central region, women who produce palm kernel oil endure long hours of physically demanding work. Samuel Yabua Adams visited the community and has more in the following report.
From raw kernels to oil, many families in Omankrado Brom and its nearby communities have for years depended on the local palm kernel oil processing trade as a source of livelihood. Yet behind every gallon produced is a story of endurance and daily struggle. Auntie Abena has been in the trade for more than 30 years. She says that despite advances in technology, much of the work remains manual.
Yeah, if you do one can you and go apple. And now so if you be what the ball.
If we were to have machines, our work would have been easy and faster.
And the chair made the time by 3 days.
She explains the process it goes through from sorting the kernels, sending them to the mill, and cooking them for hours to extract the oil.
We first sort out the raw kernel, fry it and take it to the mill to be grinded before final processing to extract the oil.
For other processors, the challenges go beyond the labor. Poor patronage and inconsistent pricing often make their efforts feel unrewarded after spending hours staring large pots under the scorching sun with no proper shelter.
Water fine. But I see I'm going to want to do I'm on to them first. No water.
Patronage used to be high, but after the reduction of the vegetable oil, production has decreased. Our working condition is not good. We have appealed to the authorities to help us with a local factory and capital to enhance our production.
If I take a baby, I'm here, the young Trimuna, the Medjumea, okay, yes, you have a baby in Tina, a real woman yet him, near ye, Dumano. As I will be in a young one.
If we get shelter, it will really help us. There is no place for us to sit. We sit under the scorching sun to work. After everything, we are left tired. If we get the machine too, it will help support us.
Professor of Nutrition and Food Science, Professor Kwekutano Deborah explains that palm kernel oil is more than just a traditional staple.
Palm kernel oil has a lot of vitamin K. In fact, it has higher vitamin K level than that of palm oil. It also has some amount of vitamin E. Palm kernel oil have some fatty acids, but it doesn't mean they are bad. They are used actually in cosmetics also. Cosmetics. So that's the nutritional value, right? But in soup making, we can produce soup for that to help us in our food preparation. And so in deep frying and also in several industrial products that require that we use oil because of its unique characteristics. Yeah, we can actually blend them with other things and we blend them with some unsaturated fats to get the kind of levels that we want for good nutrition.
He notes that its full potential remains largely untapped. However, there is more that could be done.
Even as we try to industrialize our oil extraction process, we need to actually look at those small-scale artisanal processes and then help for them to do their processes better. And I think when that is done and we're able to address this in palm kernel oil processing, you get palm kernel oils that are attractive, that are healthy or safe and wholesome. As we think of investing to encourage large-scale processes of oil, etc., we still need to look at what the traditional oil processors also do.
Community leaders are now appealing to government and other stakeholders to step in.
We need our women to be supported, especially those with vocational skills, so that they can build on it and support their families. We also need our roads fixed, so that transport of goods and services will be much easier.
These producers serve as a reminder that true empowerment goes beyond recognition. For them, it means practical support and modern facilities that allow their hard work to feed families, strengthen communities, and contribute to national development. Samuel Yeboah Adams for TV3 News, Gomu Obuasi Central Region.
And from the Central Region, let's come to the Greater Accra region, where residents of flood-prone Odona are bracing themselves once again as the rains draw nigh. Walls have been hastily erected, shelves lifted high above the grounds, and some families fearful of losing everything have begun relocating to safer communities. Beatrice Sowa has more in this report.
Culprit remains the same: choked gutters and the neglected Odo River, a ticking time bomb that swells with every downpour. Walking through the community, frustration hangs heavy in the air. Residents speak of sleepless nights and shattered hopes as each rainy season brings the same torment. Businesses too are crippled, livelihoods washed away by floods that halt work and drain incomes.
It's almost May-June and it will start raining soon. And we've already started packing things because when it rains, you don't get anywhere to stand. So every time it's rainy, wherever you are, you have to leave there, come to the house and come and pack your things because it's a very, very serious thing that we are facing here in Adabraka.
We've all built platforms in our homes, so when it rains, we climb it. I've heard the Odo is being dredged, and I hope when this is done, it will bring some relief so we can have some peace of mind.
We've been managing in such a way that some of us have been building higher structures. And also some have created shelves that when it rains, we put our things at the top. We move our children and staffs from here. Most of us, we come here to find our daily bread. Some people who have these public toilets, they normally open their taps and some of the irrigation enters into the river.
And every year be a high. Now, ya can't want someone so as in a railway line or a pajam.
Every year we face the same problem. We have complained for the bridge to be reconstructed, but to no avail.
These bridges, if something can be done about it, they are very low. So whenever the water hits the bridge, then it started spreading. That is where we normally have problems.
Government have been here over and over again. Nothing has been done. Only government can relocate us. If government give us a place, we will go because we pay dues.
If you don't have shelves in your room to put your valuables on, they will get destroyed as a result of the flood. We always vacate the area for hours before we can return. The municipal chief executive of Kolekloti, Alfred Alote Gezi, insists that measures are underway to prevent flooding this year.
We have a lot of silt and debris, rubber, plastic containers within the door. We also have plastic containers in the new drain that they are building. DRIP is trying to build from, I think, the upstream, coming through Paloma, through Circle, to the door. We're having challenges because the project is stalled for a bit. So we have a lot of debris within the Kole itself, lagoon, and then that stretch of big storm that they built there. The squatters is a challenge because, once you start a project, you clear the squatters around and you store the project. What happens is they come back. But the squatters is quite difficult because we've not been able to build a market within the same enclave for them. Although they've been compensated, but if the project is not complete or they stall it, definitely they will come back because that's where they used to be.
The Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive, Michael Kpakpo Aloti, further revealed that in just 2 weeks, the long-stalled Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project will finally resume.
We have even expanded the dredging. As I'm speaking to you now, there is work going on around the around the Kolebu area. When you come forward a bit, close to Lighthouse, before Agbogbroshi, there's a work going on there. It wasn't like that before. You can see them dredging circle, dredging the door. But now we have 3-4 machines working the same stretch.
But the question lingers. After years of promises and failed attempt to tame the Odo River, will this government finally break the cycle, or will residents living along the Odo River basin once again be left to battle the floods alone? Beatrice Sowa, reporting for TV3 News, Accra.
And President Mahama has cut short for the establishment of a farmer services center at Takrachini in the Afram Plains South District of the Eastern Region. This is part of efforts by the government to boost agricultural production and to ensure food security in the country. President said government intends to establish 50 farmer service centers across the various farming ecological zones.
This is more than just the start of a construction project. It marks the beginning of a strategic national investment in Ghanaian agriculture. It is a practical step towards building a more modern, productive, and resilient agricultural economy. If we're committed to transforming Ghana's economy, then we must be equally serious about transforming our agriculture. This government is pursuing a comprehensive agricultural transformation agenda, one that moves the sector from subsistence to modern commercial production, from vulnerability to resilience, from low productivity to value addition and competitiveness. The Farmers Service Center program is a flagship initiative of the NDC government within this broader agenda. This initiative is designed to bring essential agricultural services closer to the farmers by creating integrated service hubs in key farming regions. The center will include mechanization services, access to inputs, extension and advisory support, storage and post-harvest handling, market linkages, and farmers training centers. The government plans to establish a total of 50 centers in key farming districts. And this year we're starting with 11 of those centers.
To the Bono East region now, and the Kintampo North Municipal Assembly has officially launched a 24-hour market rotation system. The initiative aims to transform the local economy by ensuring that trade continues around the clock, catering to the thousands of travelers and haulage drivers who pass through the municipality every night.
Kintampo has long served as a vital artery connecting to the northern and the southern sectors of the country. Previously, traders were limited to daylight hours, often missing out on high-volume transit trade that occurs late at night. Now, the market rotation ensures that offloading, wholesaling, and retail activities continue under the glow of the newly installed street lights.
24-hour.
The new rotation will help us a lot, because I, for one, I'll come during the day and my sister will come during the night. That way, we are making a lot of money, because initially it wasn't like that. Once it is evening, you'd have to pack and go. Meanwhile, there are cars that come in the night, but because we are not around, we always miss out on that money. So the new rotation will really help a lot. I have so much optimism in this new rotation, because this is going to create a lot of opportunities for the youth especially, and this will also help boost our local economy. As it stands now, my mom can come in the morning, and when I close from school, I'll come and help her. And in the evening, my sister can also sell. That way, we'll make a lot of money. While the mood is celebratory, traders are calling for increased security to sustain nighttime operation. Because we work in the night, we plead for improved security in this area to ensure our safety. As the 24-hour economy policy remains a central theme in national discourse, the Kintampo rollout serves as a localized proof of concept. The municipality is meanwhile awaiting the start of the promised 24-hour economy model markets aligned in the NDC's 2024 manifesto. The 24-hour economy market forms part of the NDC government's agenda to modernize markets across Ghana and spur local economic growth. Belinda Tete, TV3 News.
Away from that, the Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Sam George, has been defending government's decision to undertake another SIM card registration exercise. He assured Ghanaians that the challenges experienced during the 2021-23 SIM exercise will not be repeated. He spoke on key points.
Alfred, this registration that's going to start is going to be backed by law. We've worked not just with the NIA. Alfred, we've worked with the NIA to ensure that we have a seamless real-time verification against their database, something that didn't exist the last time. We're working with the Office of Registrar of Companies to now ensure that every business SIM, we are able in real time to identify from the ORC's database who are the directors of that company, and then extrapolate the Ghana card details of the owners of that company and link to all the business SIMs that are registered. We're also working with multiple state agencies, including the police and all of that, to ensure that the system is robust enough. Now we can block you across all SIMs. So your device and the SIM increases the cost for the fraudster. It means he needs to find some 2,000-3,000 to buy a new phone. Now beyond that, because we have your Ghana card,
it doesn't eliminate mobile money fraud completely.
It raises the bar. But then beyond that, if a number linked to a Ghana card is found to have a second report, so for example, the person has registered 2 SIMs on that Ghana card. The first one is flagged in Momo fraud. We block it. He uses the second number. Once we have a second one, we don't just block your device now, we also block your Ghana card. Now, if we block your Ghana card, it means that you cannot access any other service in the country with a Ghana card. Don't forget, your Ghana card is now your TIN number.
Unless you report yourself.
You have to report yourself to the police. You cannot get your health insurance renewed. You cannot get your driver's license renewed. You can't access your banking. So for anybody engaged in mobile money fraud, what we are doing is making it a very expensive venture that ultimately, when your Ghana card is blocked, because now we've done the direct verification and our systems are speaking, once we flag you and block you on our NCA system, the NIA does same to you, you are deprived of accessing any government services across the whole spectrum.
From communications, let's go to health. The Minister in charge of Health, Kwabena Mintah Kando, has visited the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to assess concerns over the ongoing no-bed syndrome. Hospital authorities say 200 new beds have been procured and more interventions are underway to manage the surge in cases.
The visit by the Health Minister Kwabena Mintah Kando to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital follows a viral video that raised concerns about conditions at the hospital's Accident and Emergency Center. In a recent statement, hospital management explained that the facility has recorded an unprecedented surge in emergency cases over the past 2 weeks, putting pressure on available bed space. However, no patient was left untreated on the floor. After being briefed by the hospital management, the Minister of Health emphasized that the government remains committed to resolving the no-bed syndrome issue.
There's the need for the increase in beds at the wards, so that at every material time we can create space at the emergency. For me, I think it makes a lot of sense to move the person from emergency to create an empty bed at the emergency than to say that, oh, the wards are full, and so you leave the person more than 24 hours at the emergency. I think that we have to revise that one and make sure that the person doesn't stay more than 24 hours after stabilizing it. And I will also
appeal to all the health facilities who do referrals to this place to try to stabilize the patients before they get here. You don't just push the people and say there's no bed here, so go to Kolebu. And so that's something we have to look at. And you've mentioned the expansion of the medical surgical ward. I think it's also very, very important. And I've seen the progress on the cath lab.
Chief Executive Officer of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Yakubu Seidu Adam, explained that management is taking urgent steps to address the limited bed capacity.
There was a directive that we should start 24-hour services. That the same directives I have given to the Director of Medical Affairs, and that is exactly what we are implementing. When it comes to decongestion of the accident and emergency center, we have made available Ward G to absorb the neurosurgical cases. They form like 10-20% of the cases at emergency. We are also resourcing the medical department with more beds.
The head of the Accident and Emergency Center noted that although the center faces a shortage of some medical equipment, they remain fully committed to upholding the highest standards of patient care.
The best thing now would be to be able to get best wards and be able to move the patients there. Other hospitals should be ready to also work. And when you are sending a patient from one hospital to the other, at least you should call. I'm sending a patient like this. You have space for the patient, then we communicate. If it's sometimes they don't need to even move the patient, just the direction. You call us, maybe we have more knowledge or more experience in such a field.
Hospital management stated that they are intensifying collaboration with key stakeholders to improve referral coordination and ensure that patients are directed to appropriate facilities without compromising their safety, dignity, or quality of care.
You're also watching News 360 on TV3. We have more after this break. Stay with us.
This Sunday on Hot Issues.
Randomly selected sample gave you facial match of 81%.
Yeah.
You are telling us that was not success, and it tells you that the data.
See,
no, hang on. That the data you collected has no integrity.
You see, I haven't said I'm an engineer. I don't speak in those terms.
If the telcos are already able to do this thing that you have described, why do we need a third party to come in the fray for the mass exercise?
So it is because of the central register.
There will be no taxpayer cedis in this exercise?
No. They have laid down the ground rules. So when we say that there will be no direct cost to the consumer, it is one of the boundaries for negotiation.
Does the NCA consider that it's expensive to make calls and use data in this country?
We don't have a reason to intervene in the tariff structure that is at play.
What's happened to Ghana's efforts towards 5G?
Hot Issues shows on Sundays at 1 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news. This Sunday on Hot Issues.
Randomly selected sample gave you facial match of 81%. You are telling us that was not success, and it tells you that the data.
See,
no, hang on. That the data you collected has no integrity.
You see, I haven't said I'm an engineer. I don't speak in those terms.
If the telcos are already able to do this thing that you have described, why do we need a third party to come in the fray for the mass exercise?
So it is because of the central register.
There will be no taxpayer cedis in this exercise?
No. They have laid down the ground rules. So when we say that there will be no direct cost to the consumer, it is one of the boundaries for negotiation.
Does the NCA consider that it's expensive to make calls and use data in this country?
We don't have a reason to intervene in the tariff structure that is at play.
What's happened to Ghana's efforts towards 5G?
Hot Issues shows on Sundays at 1 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news. This Sunday on Hot Issues.
Welcome back to News 360. The Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, has appealed to labour unions across the country to prioritise dialogue over industrial action in resolving their grievances. Speaking exclusively to our labour correspondent, Daniel Opoku, the minister expressed confidence that sustained engagement between government and organised labour would foster a peaceful industrial climate and, in turn, boost investor confidence.
Just 3 months into 2026, many had hoped the year would be free from major labor unrest. However, that expectation has been upended. On 9th March 2026, the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOCSA, Ghana, and the Local Government Workers Union embarked on a nationwide strike, disrupting government operations across the country. Several members of the public seeking essential services were left stranded as offices shut down. The unions are demanding an improved salary structure and better conditions of service. In response, the government, through the Labour Minister, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, requested a 2-week window to address the concerns raised.
Looking for something that will enhance your work, to help you to advance your work, to commit more to the service of this country. From your perspective, it is justifiable. It will not be proper for anybody to say you are doing this, but it's not justifiable. It's completely justifiable. Except that it must be justifiable within the scope of space that will let it work, that will make it a real practical implementing policy area.
On Tuesday, March 17, CLOCSA called off the strike, granting government some time to engage and work towards resolving the issues. The Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, visibly disturbed by the development, reiterated his call for calm and constructive engagement, urging all parties to embrace dialogue as the most effective tool for dispute resolution.
Because if you directly work with government and you directly are concerned about the progress of government and you are the core workforce in government, you should stay whilst you resolve your issues.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOCSA, Ghana, Isaac Bampuado, has warned that the union may resume its strike if after the 2-week period government fails to meet their demands. Prior to the suspension of the strike, the National Labour Commission secured a court injunction compelling CLOCSA members to return to work. However, the matter is still pending before the Commission, awaiting resolution by the commissioners, despite the suspension of strike by CLOCSA.
Well, across Africa, the push for the restitution of stolen artifacts is gathering momentum, with leaders like President Mahama adding their voices to the call. But as the debate grows, Samuel Yeboah-Adams explores whether the country's museums are ready to preserve these pieces of history and tell the stories they carry.
From the dust of history and the shadows of war, pieces of the past continue to resurface. Historical objects once stolen, lost or forgotten are gradually finding their way back to where they belong. But beyond their return, an important question remains: why do these objects matter today?
That is a missing part of our history. There are all kinds of claims. I have people who say, oh, Ghanaians came from Israel, Ghanaians came from Korea. Oh, that is insignificant. We need evidence so that we all write one history.
Across the world, historical artifacts are often preserved in museums where they help tell the story of societies and cultures.
It's part of all the events and the talk and everything. It's within the museums that you can preserve all these, evidence of our history, our humanity, our past.
According to UNESCO, there are about 104,000 museums across the world, with the United States alone accounting for nearly 30,000. Africa, however, has about 900 museums, and in Ghana, there are between 28 to 30 museums, including both state and privately owned. Data from the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board shows that out of 9 state-owned museums, only 4 are currently operational. One of them is the National Museum of Ghana, now 69 years old, but still facing several operational challenges.
Lack of resources, lack of human capital, and also even space. The museum is supposed to have what? A 5-story building that we're supposed to have as a national museum. And this was truncated after the 1966 school. So it means that even space for staff to work is a problem. We don't have dedicated spaces where we can have a lot of exhibition. So we are hoping that when the Ghana Museum and Monument Board is going to be 70 years next year, the 5-story building that is there, maybe the government can actually come in and see how they can actually make it as part of the project that they can do to make sure that at least we have a befitting national museum.
Despite the range of historical objects available for display, interest among many adults to learn about the country's past is declining.
If you look at the museum, at least patronage-wise, it's good. So you can see that we have a lot of schools, especially from the primary school up to the SSS. That is the majority of people that we see. The next group of people that come are the foreigners.
Meanwhile, with President Mahama in recent times speaking about restitutions and reparations, the conversation around the return of African artifacts is gaining momentum.
More than 12.5 million Africans were forcibly taken against their will and transported to create wealth for the powerful Western nations. We must demand reparations for the enslavement of our people and the colonization of our land that resulted in the theft of our natural resources, as well as the looting of artifacts and other items of cultural heritage that have yet to be returned in total.
As calls continue to grow, questions are being raised about Ghana's readiness to properly preserve these artifacts when they return.
If you come to the museum and you don't have a space to keep the objects, then there is also a problem. So it means that there is the need for us to start doing this. If not, when we started seeing most of the objects that are coming, that is where the government will actually see that there is the need for us to actually expand the museum to accommodate some of these things. And that will be too late for us.
Some countries, including Algeria and Egypt, are making progress in preserving their heritage through well-developed museums. Pan-African historian Professor Kojo Yanka believes that Ghana can also position itself as a leader in that regard.
National Museum itself needs rehabilitation, although in terms of renovation we've done it, but we need to save that museum because it needs to be revitalized. So GMMB should be given a new lease of life to tell the Ghana story. And Ghana, as the home of Pan-Africanism, should also support the Pan-African Heritage World Museum.
He believes technology must play a key role, pointing to the development of the Digital Museum for the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, alongside educational reforms.
The Ministry of Education should set up that curriculum committee should set up a special one to talk about the history of Africa, the history of Ghana, what is our relationship to other African countries.
Many young people say while digital platforms can make history more accessible, physical museums still remain important and deserve stronger investment.
Government should support this and push funds into this so that the place is maintained properly, so that children can come here and experience things for themselves.
As the global push for the return of African artifacts intensifies, the focus is shifting beyond restitution to include preservation. For Ghana, the challenge is not only to reclaim its heritage, but also to build the institutions capable of protecting and telling those stories for generations to come. Samuel Yabua Adams for TV3 News, Accra.
And Accra's rich cultural identity must be preserved even as the city embraces rapid modernization. That was a central message at this year's Accra City Day celebration held at the Accra City Hotel. Speakers at the event emphasized the need to strike a balance between development and heritage, warning that the push for a modern city should not come at the expense of Accra's history, traditions, and cultural values.
Deputy Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture Yusuf Jaja
reflected on how Accra has evolved over the years. He noted that in the past, the city was characterized by traditional mud houses, preserved artifacts, and a strong sense of language and identity. However, he expressed concern that modernization is gradually overshadowing these cultural elements.
There's a need for us to develop. In as much as we're developing, we shouldn't lose sight of our heritage and our old buildings. Even if it will take you to get them a new settlement and still preserve that place as it is. So that is why we need to take a deliberate effort. Even some laws should be passed to at least help protect in preserving our old homes.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Development Company, Professor Kobi Mensah, highlighted the role of traditional authorities in safeguarding Accra's heritage. According to him, chiefs and royal custodians remain deeply connected to the history and values of Accra, making them key stakeholders in efforts to sustain its cultural identity.
I don't think that the issue of cultural preservation is a matter for indigenous Ghana people. I think it's a matter of preservation for the country. And that means that anyone who is a stakeholder in a particular community, a particular society such as, Accra, to protect, to preserve, to conserve, the cultural forms that we have.
The event reinforced a shared commitment among stakeholders to ensure that as Accra grows, its heritage remains visible, relevant and protected for future generations.
Time now for another breather. We're back shortly. Don't go away.
When you're going to press the pace, don't look left, don't look right. Go back and grab.
Randomly selected sample gave you facial match of 81%. You are telling us that was not success, and it tells you that the data. Hang on. That the data you collected has no integrity.
You see, I haven't said I'm an engineer. I don't speak in those terms.
If the telcos are already able to do this thing that you have described, why do we need a third party to come in the fray for the mass exercise?
So it is because of the central register.
There will be no taxpayer cedis in this exercise?
No. They have laid down the ground rules. So when we say that there will be no direct cost to the consumer, it is one of the boundaries for negotiation.
Does the NCA consider that it's expensive to make calls and use data in this country?
We don't have a reason to intervene in the tariff structure that is at play.
What's happened to Ghana's efforts towards 5G?
Hot Issues shows on Sundays at 1 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news. This Sunday on Hot Issues.
Randomly selected sample gave you facial match of 81%. You are telling us that was not success, and it tells you that the data. Hang on. That the data you collected has no integrity.
You see, I haven't said I'm an engineer. I don't speak in those terms.
If the telcos are already able to do this thing that you have described, why do we need a third party to come in the fray for the mass exercise?
So it is because of the central register.
There will be no taxpayer cedis in this exercise?
No. They have laid down the ground rules. So when we say that there will be no direct cost to the consumer, it is one of the boundaries for negotiation.
Does the NCA consider that it's expensive to make calls and use data in this country?
We don't have a reason to intervene.
Insecticide spray and coil.
It's time for sports here on News360. I am Aniela Alute. We start off on the domestic front with preparations ahead of the 2026 World Cup. Government officials, musicians, and other celebrities gathered at the Kempinski Hotel on Friday for a fundraising event aimed at mobilizing support for the Black Stars ahead of the tournament.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup in the United States, Canada and Mexico, government has intensified efforts to raise funds to support the Black Stars campaign. Deputy Minister for Finance and Chairman of the Fundraising Subcommittee, Thomas Nyakuampim, revealed a target of $30 million. He assured transparency in the management of the funds, adding that any surplus will be channeled into the Ghana Sports Fund to support other disciplines.
These funds will be ring-fenced, properly governed through the enhanced public financial management system, and fully accounted for. We assure full transparency, no leakages, no compromises. And what we have agreed is that if we are able to raise in excess of the $30 million that we have targeted, the excess funds will be donated to the Ghana Sports Fund that has been established. Ladies and gentlemen, every city will be accounted for, every contribution protected, every promise kept. That is our commitment. That is our duty.
Engineers and planners, owned by businessman Ibrahim Mahama, led the pledges with $5 million, emerging as headline sponsors. Goldfields Ghana committed $2 million, while Jewel Energy pledged $1 million. On the entertainment front, musicians Stonebwoy and Shatawale shared a light-hearted moment on stage as they also pledged their support.
This is a request from Mr. President. So you can look at him. I'm not the one asking for it. But Mr. President says that we should have Stonebwoy. Ladies and gentlemen, and there you have it.
The song in the background was well put together under 24 hours by me and an able team of producers. Cost to the tune of at least $20,000, which that has gone. I've taken care of that already. So this is like something present. And then also in terms of contribution, I think we are all here as Ghanaians, so let's be at par. We're donating $81,000 to make it 101. 20 in production and 81 in physical.
Heading over to boxing, Aborigines Boxing Promotions is lining up a number of bouts in the Volta region on 4th April 2026. The event is intended to help young boxers win international titles, promote local talent, and to contribute to the boxing scene in Ghana.
For the nights, but we have 3 title fights, and then the World Championship will be between Abubakar Mubarak from Ghana, stated earlier on, against Justin Hukwebi from Benin. We also have middleweight contest between Xavier Gad, who is also from Volta region, Agbozome, who will be locking horns with Sulia Eliasu. Michael Papo also going to be in action for Professor Zuma Nelson Emeritus Award, boxing title. So these are the main 3 bouts that we are expecting on the night. Like I stated, Professor Zuma Nelson himself will be on the ringside. We are expecting the sports and recreation ministers to be in our midst, the likes of Honorable Agbana Edem to also be in our midst, the MPs from Keta and Ologan, MCs, the regional minister. We are expecting all these people to grant this occasion.
Yeah, as long as sometimes he's calling me when I'm going to train for pacing. Yeah. So he talked me about plenty things about the boxing. So sometimes I'm training at the Eastman, and the team will talk to me. Sometimes I don't use my mind and learn the team up, because I won't do more than himself. You see the thing. So I don't prove myself. Nobody will know me that I'm not a small boxer. Everything, if I'm doing it for, like I'm doing it serious. Yeah, this is not my first time to go and fight there. I fight something like 4 times there or 3 times. So they know me very well. I get more spotters for there too.
Well, that'll be all for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alote. Up next is entertainment news.
Segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyle
and Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
In showbiz tonight, versatile Ghanaian band Kwampa is on a mission to keep one of the country's oldest music traditions alive. At a time when modern sounds dominate, the group is proudly preserving and promoting palm wine music for a new generation. In this report, Osu Rai takes a look at the band's journey, what inspires them, and why they focus on palm wine music.
The inspiration for forming a palm wine band stems from the fact that palm wine music is our very own music from Ghana. In fact, it is one of those music traditions that influenced the creation of high life music. And we're at a point where we feel we cannot let go. People like Ejako Nimo have held the fort over a long period. And so we decided to come on board and ensure the continuity of palm wine music. We want to help in the revitalization of palm wine music.
Formed by 4 passionate musicians, Kwanpa has become a leading force in the revival of Ghanaian palm wine and highlife music. The group has performed for audiences across Ghana and beyond, building a strong reputation for authenticity and cultural pride. Their ensemble features a classical guitar, a frame drum known as gome, a twin bell dawuta, a rattle, banlogo drums and rich vocal harmonies. Together, they deliver energetic performances, blending skill and emotion on every stage. For Kwanpa, African music is more than entertainment. It is identity, history, and life.
In our performance, we call something a piece of Ghana with Kwanpa. We break and then we share beautiful music and dance traditions from around Ghana. We teach people. We break everything down in a very simple way, and then we teach our audience, and they enjoy it. For instance, we go to the Volta region, we will share Agbaja or Bobobo with our audience, we'll share Balogo with them, we'll share different kinds of music and dance traditions. Yes, so it's part of our performances where we give people the Ghana experience.
Beyond performing, the group is deeply committed to promoting Ghanaian culture. They continue.
That's it for entertainment. Let's know the latest on the international front.
U.S. Central Command says Iran's ability to threaten ships in the Strait of Hormuz has been degraded after the U.S. bombing of an underground military facility this week. This comes as reports are emerging that Iran fired 2 missiles at the joint U.S.-UK military base Diego Garcia by Iran. Neither hit their target, some 5,000 kilometers away in the Indian Ocean. Meanwhile, Iran says that its Natanz nuclear facility has been targeted again, but says there is no danger to those in surrounding areas. The country's foreign minister says that it doesn't appear the U.S. is prepared to halt its aggression after President Trump said the U.S. was considering winding down its war. The United States has deployed multiple MQ-9 drones alongside around 200 troops in Nigeria to provide intelligence and training support to the Nigerian military in its ongoing fight against insurgents across the northern region. The operation is strictly focused on surveillance and advisory support, with no U.S. personnel embedded in frontline units and no drone airstrikes being conducted. The development was requested by Nigerian authorities to help identify, track and respond to terrorist threats in the region.
That's it for News 360. It was live from our studio here at Desawe Kanda in Accra. Thank you very much for watching. I am Martin Asiedudate.
My name is Grace Hamwajiban. We have Just As Tonight coming up and also PM Extra. Stay with us. Good evening.